Hello everyone, my name is Big Head Code, and today I'm going to be talking about a hidden gem. What's a hidden gem? A hidden gem is a game that not a lot of people played and not a lot of people talked about, but despite flying under the radar, is kind of an awesome game. Today's hidden gem is a game called Crystal Crisis. I remember seeing Capcom's Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo at my local Nickel City, and I was like, what game is this? I was immediately drawn to it. The chibi characters were adorable, the colors, the sounds of the gems breaking were super addicting, they were all and the tie to Street Fighter made it easy for me and my fighting game brethren to make the jump from Super Street Fighter to Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo. The reason I'm talking about Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo is because Crystal Crisis draws obvious inspirations from that game and a lesser-known arcade game called Baku Baku Animal. But Nicalis, the developers of Crystal Crisis, have gone through great lengths to make this game feel entirely its own. If you've played either of the before-mentioned games, the premise for Crystal Crisis is a familiar one. You match colored gems that are subsequently destroyed by crystals of the same color. Destroying gems and clusters send countdown attack blocks to the opponent's side of the screen in a character-specific pattern. The game features an eclectic roster of characters taken from various anime and video games. Much of the roster was featured in the game Blade Strangers. It's a fighting game, you guys should check that one out too. But there's a lot of familiar faces like Astro Boy and Blackjack from their respective animes, but the game features lesser-known characters like the cast of the video game Tempura the Dead, and a really weird one, Johnny Turbo, who's hands down the strangest addition to the game. He was the mascot for TurboGrafx-16's hybrid console called the Turbo Duo.
So what's up, Andy? Where's your pal Short Round at?
Although he was the mascot for TurboGrafx, he was never featured in an actual video game, and he was really only used in 3 comic book-like advertisements, so his inclusion in this game is super weird. Due to the fact that the game was 1v1 and the inclusion of familiar Street Fighter characters, a lot of the fighting game community migrated towards Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo when it was released in arcades back in 1996. Crystal Crisis furthers the fighting game influences and adds individual offensive and defensive super moves for each character, which are tied to an on-screen meter, much like the ones introduced in Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo. The characters have a ton of personality, and their super moves reflect that, like Astro Boy is an adorable android, and he can reprogram his side of the screen by manually rotating gems. The ninja can cause his opponent's gems to turn invisible, doing a ninja vanish move, making it difficult to know where to place incoming gems, and if you're playing against the knight and you're saving up your gem clusters, he's like, shwink, and he cuts all your gem clusters apart. They did a really good job making each character's super attack match the traits of that character. Each character also has a distinct attack pattern in the form of countdown gems that fall on the opponent's side of the screen. These gems interrupt any progress the opponent's made, and they only turn into regular gems once the countdown is ended. They also added an on-screen reference to each character's attack patterns, so you can kind of preemptively set up for whatever blocks are going to be coming to your side of the screen. The attack patterns also add to the personality of each character, like the zombie's attack is meant to look like a pixelated zombie face, but this leaves a lot of red and green gems on the opponent's side of the screen, so if they get like a red or green crystal, they can destroy those all and just kind of send them right back. The game remedies this by creating a balance between a character's super move and their attack patterns. So if the character has a complex attack pattern, it's most likely that their super moves aren't going to be overpowered. Like the zombie, who has one of the worst attack patterns in the game, has really strong offensive and defensive super moves. His offensive moves leaves contaminated blocks on his opponent's screen that'll stop any combos or chains once it hits that block, and his defensive super will change a number of his blocks into whatever color he has the most of on his screen. It's this sort of balance that makes Crystal Crisis so much fun to play. The super system allows for moments that mirror Evo levels of hype. I had some real butt clenchers, like this one match I was beating Akuji. He's this vampire character, he has a really predictable attack pattern, but his super move is really strong. If his super meter is full, he's able to literally switch his screen with his opponent's. So if he's losing and he has a super meter, nope, now you're losing. The game also adds a wraparound feature that allows you to wrap your blocks from one edge of the screen to the other. This adds another level of strategy to the game. It also doesn't hurt that this game is beautiful to look at. The chibi character models are well done, and they have some really hilarious animations, like the zombie pretty much does the Thriller dance when he's just standing still. I feel like I talk about the zombie a lot. I really like that character. The color palette for almost every screen bursts with charm, and the backgrounds are equally beautiful and unique, and there's actually a lot of animations going on back there, which is more than I can say about Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. For a puzzle game, Crystal Crisis has a surprisingly large amount of content. The game features multiple game modes and can be played with up to 4 players locally and online. The game features an arcade mode, a story mode, tag team, versus mode, a memory mode, and a match 3 version of the game. Story mode follows characters as they seek the red crystal from the game Cave Story. Each chapter sees you picking one of 2 predetermined characters. The story actually branches depending on which character you choose. And the story mode, as well as the rest of the game, is narrated by Optimus Prime himself, Peter Cullen.
The determined treasure hunter takes on an infamous spokesperson who seeks the truth. Which one will move closer to the red crystal?
In memory mode, blocks lose their color as soon as they're dropped, which will test your memory and your skill, but the best of these modes is hands down the tag mode, where players choose 2 characters and control both of their screens separately. By experimenting with different character combinations, you can find a team synergy that fits your particular playstyle. I highly suggest Crystal Crisis. It's a super fun puzzle game and it can be played alone or with friends. It's fun to experiment with different characters, and there's a number of modes to keep you busy. I've seen it pop up every now and then on sale, but even at full price, the game's only $19.99, so pick it up if you like puzzle games or fighting games. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like or a comment, and maybe consider subscribing. I try to upload 2 to 3 videos a week. Anyways, my name is Big Head Code. Thank you again for watching.